Hello, welcome back to another Family Channel. I'm James J. Books Corner. Normally we're in a book corner, but today we're in front of my PC as we are working on brain dump and plot basis for a cozy fantasy romance. If you're not familiar with this series on my channel, I get that. It's been a minute since I've uploaded on it as I let the story brew so we could have like a lot of good information coming in. We did 2 episodes before this. We did a generalistic what my thoughts and ideas for like a pitch for you so you can get excited, and then we broke that pitch down and made ourselves a tiny little breakdown of the story, which I think we are going to basically go back over as I've added some stuff, and I like to run back through the information that we have. This episode is going to be really dedicated to world building and character building. Now you might be asking yourself, what does a lot of world building need to be done here, especially because this is a cozy, somewhat, a cozy fantasy romance. Well, one, I need to know geographically, there's certain world stuff about that I need to learn. But also, this is a story in a bigger world that eventually will come to you guys. This is the first book inside my fantasy world, which I think is going to be more towards the grimdark side of fantasy when we're actually talking about mainline. I really don't care that this is not grimdark, because I want this to be light and cozy and steamy and, all the good things that we talked about and stuff in that previous video. That being said, that's the reason why. I need a little bit more plot information. You need a little bit more plot information. I need a little more world build. Also, our main characters and our love interests are very basic on the broad scale, and I typically let the wounds and the festers and all that stuff come out while I'm writing the book. But because I'm writing it to you, I feel like we need a bit more information point blank, and so I'm going to try to come up with that information that I have. I have a few textbooks and stuff that we're going to be looking at in my Kindle, and then also I have a complete list of questions to ask when you're world building, which was, I didn't find. Sheridan writes, I'll link her down below, had recommended to me a long time ago. She recommended to her TikTok, and I'm following her TikTok. Okay, the basics of the goal is, so we have a shopkeeper of magical items as one love interest. His goal is to find the magical objects that are going missing in his shop. Then we have a bounty hunter / monster hunter for the other love interest. Now, the shopkeeper is our main character, whereas this one is like a bounty. It is set in a sci-fi mixed fantasy, like I said, more grimdark type of world, because that's the type of world that I like. I like when magic and mages and stuff are built around science, and the idea that what if we're breaking that norm, which is something we're going to be more exploring in a mainline series, not with these characters, because it really doesn't fucking matter. Not for them, at least. The notes that we took on the whiteboard is all right here, except it did change a few things, so I wanted to go back over that as well. Obviously, the main scene owns a magical shop. A portion of the story will be taking place there, and the item shop is going missing. Monster / bounty hunter is tasked with hunting down a beast for the council, the government, whatever it might be. Once again, we got to figure that out, and the world building questions should help hopefully establish some of that. Maybe not, I don't know, they're gonna be random. We'll do 3 or 4 of them to 5 depending. C and love interests, main character and love interest meet at his shop early in the book, first 5%, where he is there to pick out an item for the quest. He's currently broke or doesn't have enough for it, whatever, and they make a deal where he'll come back and help on his off time to pay back the owing, because obviously they're not borrowing, he's not borrowing it, he's taking it to go. He shows back up around 15%, and then the next 50% kind of resides here, but I wasn't really sure if this is what I like or not, so we're still playing with that. At 50%, they are deeply in its months have passed. I guess it's supposed to be deeply in love and months have passed. Maybe deeply in cleaning, I don't know. MC wants to leave and give the shop a break. When love interest gets an opportunity, they both go on it. Essentially, more and more crazy stuff starts happening around the shop, and the MC's just like, I just need a minute. The third act breakup is MC getting injured and love interest having to heal him back to life. I don't know if I like this idea anymore either. I feel like I wrote it down somewhere, but I don't. Yeah, okay, it is written down. It's just further down. They end up back at the shop, and most items are missing, and it's vandalized. The last part of the novel takes place here with them rebuilding. Epilogue is spaceship comes and tells them they're going to go on a journey, which will be explained a bit further down the line. Essentially, this is about all the information you're going to know about the epilogue, and so I'm ready to announce the whole point of the epilogue. They trade trades with one another. So MC learns about monsters, and love interest learns about how to keep a shop up, the ins and outs, and also about several different items inside the shop. So this was also another idea that I think we could play around with, is that instead of him deciding, oh, this shop is giving, he could still make the decision that the shop is being too much and that he wants to take a break. That's not a problem. But what if he goes in after it? So the love interest is already on this journey, and we follow the love interest a bit later after he decides that he's not really ready to risk his life for something like this. Also, I actually think the love interest is going to send MC home early instead of getting hurt, but I do have the whole healing, so maybe love interest gets hurt. Another thing, so this is like a pick or choose situation here, is that I don't want to do both, because I do want them on the road for a period of time. And so with them being on the road, it's either they go on the road together, and then he decides that this is too dangerous for whoever it is. Let's say they hit a red herring part of the story, and the red herring is really scary, and they're like, oh God, I could die. And he's like, I don't want you to die. I love you. Go home. And so he goes home, and love interest gets severely hurt, and then we build from there. And then this is all stuff that you can't know, so it's all blacked out for that reason. Main story place in this world will be about a mage who has powers that's not from science, like I said, and that's just like one of the like 4 or 5 characters that I've started to brainstorm for that mainline series. But we're actually going to start, I think, with world building first, as I have, like I said, a list here. You can't really see the list, but that's okay. There are 1,275 questions, or 1,274 questions at least. And then there are some additional information questions at the bottom. I don't know. We'll play around this. Obviously, I take this as like what Sheridan did in her video when she went over world building. You just kind of do it randomly. Okay, it's all around the same things. And a lot of these sometimes are like sometimes dumb, sometimes really important. And it's really important. Like all these questions I do think are necessary, but it's 48 pages. Could you imagine? That's a lot of world building for 48 pages. But it's based off, this is a Tumblr that you can go to as well. I do have a random number generator, as you guys can see. So I'm just going to generate it. You're just going to have to be like, okay, 75. How would someone in your setting swear an oath? You know what? Actually, we're going to pull out like several questions, and then hopefully hopefully we can build off of them into something, because I don't have an answer. All right, we're jumping to the thousands. 1,122. Do people in your world have a concept of paradise or heaven? If so, what it's like? Obviously, I feel like I have some really big thoughts on that, so I'm excited to really dive in, but I don't know I have my own personal thoughts. But what about my world? I don't know yet. 1,098. Has your world ever have any legendary parties? What's made them legendary? How much legendary parties maybe is more up the alley? But then again, I don't know if it's hard. Because, like, is that an important question for our world? 156. How are medicines made in your setting? Who makes them? That's the first excellent question I've heard all day so far. So I'm very excited to answer that one eventually. Swearing an oath, I feel like these are very similar. Once again, if you're swearing an oath to me is like Oathbringer, like in Dungeons and Dragons, where it's you are living by this for the rest of your life. It's almost like swearing your allegiance to a D&T. And a paradise or heaven, I also think would go along with that. So these are 2 very legendary parties. I don't even know if that's like a super necessary question for me to answer. 138 is what materials are public buildings typically made from? Another great question as well. I think I'm just gonna grab a few of them. I think we're up to like 5. 67. The high ones, the low ones really, are birthdays. I think birthdays are an excellent little thing, especially because it does seem like we're going to be going through seasons and stuff like that. So we'll get one more question. And to be fair, I normally wouldn't figure this out. I'm going to be honest with you beforehand. Does your setting have an official language? Is this language spoken by the majority of the population? Is it indigenous to the region? Also, another great question. I actually don't think they do. But let's go up here to the first one, and we'll slowly make our way through them. I'm actually going to start with the second one, because I feel like once we answer the second one, if we believe in paradise or a heaven, what that looks like. This world is not based on any other world. It's just simply coming from my own imagination. I'm sure in my head I'll have other stories and other things that inspire me going on around it. But if something sounds familiar to something else, please let me know in the comments down below. That's always handy to know. I have no preconceived notion. I'm not saying this is based on Greek mythology or something or those lines either. Like, this is what we're doing. Okay. Concept, paradise or heaven. So what's it like? Give me a second. I'll figure it out. I guess the question here is, how would you answer this question? Like, if I'm trying to help someone do world building, one, I think these are great tools and great assets to have in your wheelhouse. Because I think it's really important. These are like 6 random questions on an extremely long list. So if you're stuck in the world building phase, or something doesn't work, you just need that one specific question, it could be in this list. And so I would highly recommend it. But like, once you get here and you're down to the world building questions, and these are the ones that we picked out for the day, I will probably continue doing this over the course of the next few weeks, building out this world this way. And once I have a good foundation, then I'll just fully build it out myself. outside of these questions. Because I also recommend, like, character-wise, do a character survey. We will probably do a character survey for our main character, but not for the love interest, or maybe just for the love interest and not the main character. Since I've yet to decide if it's dual POV, I don't think it is. I don't like a romance that's dual POV. I mean, if it's grimdark, I would say yes. Okay, so I said yes, they do believe in paradise past death because war is prevalent in the bigger regions of the world. So in our particular region of this world, I don't think we're going to have like a war-based type of situation. I feel like I might have it be trickling in the background, but I don't want it to be like overtaking or where the reader wants to know more. I want it to really just be, it's just happening in the world, but it doesn't affect these characters at all. Most believe once you die, you move on. It's a tranquil of your favorite place and people, living in happiness, a hope for a better after. Most believe even if it doesn't belong to a god. So what that means is that it doesn't need a religious background for you to have a belief in it. Which is different, because I think swearing an oath, I think most people who swear an oath, once again, I'm going to take this as a D&D relationship, that you do need that bond with a god. So I said it requires an altar and something to show allegiance to the god that they're swearing to. If you are swearing to the god of death, more than likely you're going to have to kill something to show that you are willing to give the god of death, something. If you're swearing to the god of, I don't know if these are gods in this world, but if you're swearing to the god of necromancy, it's the same vice versa, as you have to bring something dead with you to show that you are willing to bring it back to life, or something along those lines. I'm not sure, but you get my point here. Once the oath is made, it's extremely hard to break. It can be broke, but you have to do everything in your power to do so, which does make me believe that could be a character in the future. Every god has their own saying and or sacrifice. It's interesting because, like, if I'm thinking bigger, and we're thinking like the bigger capitals of this world and this region, where whatever royalty or kingdom that does sit upon, obviously we are in the outskirts. I'm thinking, which we'll talk about, like it's really run down is where we're at. But we do know that there is some type of kingdom, some type of thing off to the side. I'm going to leave it blank. I still don't know the answer to this particular question, so we're just going to move on. Okay, I do think the medicines is a perfect thing. I'm assuming it's going to be like an apothecary or something along those lines. Okay, so this is really important, and this is a way to show that a world building question could build into a character building question. So an essentially I said an apothecary makes potions that can be used to heal. Also, mages have the ability to as well. However, I'm not entirely sure that is exactly correct in my head. It's probably a very slow process, very painful, where most people won't go to a mage to heal you because it can be like a flick of the wrist and now you're healed. Also, I'm going to assume that a potion, because it is a science-based potion and a science-based thing, and so this is more like an experimental thing, that it's not going to be instantaneous as well. You're going to be in recovery for a period of time. However, most people go to a shop or having a family-based recipe. This family-based recipe would be passed down through generations, and this made my brain think, okay, if we come down here, okay, so essentially this is very basic. He's not far from his shop, so he's really familiar with the land. His entire lineage was from this place and have died in this place as well, and so it's essentially they've never left, which also might be a good reason and a good way to make him feel the need to want to leave once he does leave, because he's been so stationary for such a long time. Now you might be asking how the item's getting to a shop if he doesn't leave. We'll get there. Don't you worry, I have an idea. And of course, since we are still in the building out stage of this world and also these characters in the story itself, if you have any other ideas, let me know in the comments down below. He has an idea how to, his family had a recipe that was passed down with the plants around him. So the recipe itself was made for the region that he is a part of. That way that he doesn't have to travel far if he gets injured or something or those lines. And because it has been passed down from generation, he also has an idea how long it's going to take to make and how long it's going to take to work, which I think are also great things to know, especially because there's a part of this book that will have to deal with him finding these recipes and making these things and the complications that could come with that, because the question then gets asked, he has an idea how to construct it. The question then becomes asked, so the question becomes that he is not sure, like, if someone gets hurt, if he can use his own potion on somebody else to help them get better, because, and I just wrote down, maybe he had a mage in his family that built this, or something along those lines. So excellent, and it's a little character building on the side as well, and I would say that's an excellent way of how this could branch out into other things, so it's also why it's important. Okay, so building. This is going to be very specific to his region, as I do strongly believe, if we're thinking, I guess the best way to think about this is like the world of The Witcher 3 and how vast and big it is, or any other type of fantasy video game in the same vein. Also, I would say maybe in certain ways Skyrim and that type of stuff, where he is a part of this world, he's in a section of this world, but in a different section where a different part of a different story could take place, it could be vastly different. So I'm only answering based on what he is seeing, not what other people are seeing. I simply put wood, clay, bricks, very easy to assemble locations that probably could not withstand an attack, is my best guess. Now, this could change because I've not really figured out the gravitational pull on the planet and that type of stuff when it comes to world building. Some people don't care about that shit. Some people do care about that shit. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. I don't know if that's going to be the case for this one or not, but I do have to think longevity here since this is like, you know, the start of a whole like bigger world. At the moment is whatever planet they are orbiting is based on their birthday. So if they are orbiting a blue planet, I don't know names yet, a blue planet, and they were born while that planet was in sight, their birthday is now connected to the blue planet, and the next time the blue planet is around the orbit, they have signaled that they have aged, and which I have said normally once every few years, and one depending on wealth determines if you even celebrate, and depending on relation to your birthday and the religion and stuff will even determine if you're even gets even talked about. Obviously, I don't know exactly if it's talked about here. Official language, if this language is spoken. This is interesting. So the language, the official language and stuff, our setting is generic language, so basically our normal speaking language of English, okay? We're keeping it simple possible, but as they move away, as you get closer to the bigger cities, everybody in the bigger cities don't actually speak English, they speak a different language. That's a brand new language I'm going to build, I don't know, but yeah, I built 2 languages at this point, so I feel like I could build another if I need to. But yeah, that also could change because that seems really complicated, but also could be kind of fun and distinctive. And those are the questions, guys. And I guess this is a 30-minute world building video. Like, I like what we have here, and I do think this is extremely important. And honestly, a part of the way is I'm showing you is one, I'm trying to keep you in touch with what the world's like as we start to build it out. But 2, also just kind of give you pointers if you're someone who wants to outline deeply what this could look like for you. Another thing here is that I want to know as much as I can about the main character, and also I just want to know the wants and needs of the love interest. Also, because it is a romance at its heart, we also got to figure out the demons and the baggage that comes with a romance and what that means, and some of the big tropes so we can build them into the plot as it goes on. 1 bed, 1 horse, you know, type of shit. So I do think we'll make a whole other video dedicated to the characters and stuff. I might not make a video for Pinterest. I might make a shorter form content for it instead to make it a bit easier and just put some music behind it. But we'll do 1 more for character, and then we'll probably do chapter outline after that. That being said, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.